Alrighty, guys. Welcome to Channel 2, Sleuth Intuition 2, or the future name will be Chan 2. I'm pretty sure. That's it, just Chan 2. What's up, Farmer? What's up, Wanda? Return the diamonds. Good to see everybody. All right, let me give you an idea of what we're going to cover today. So I'm going to take you on my journey, and it all stems from Phil Schneider. And we'll go into who he is and kind of the rabbit hole he's going to send us down here in a minute. We got about 2 hours worth of content and just pausing and going. So you can expect about 2 hours and 30 minutes here. You guys like my shirt? Can you see it? It says, get in, loser. It's got a UFO on the top. Good idea, Farmer. All right, should be there. Okay, so we're going to talk about Dulce, New Mexico. We're going to talk about Area 51. We're going to talk about ancient aliens. We're going to talk about everything. Genetic engineering, boring machines like this that used to be considered top secret, right? When Phil Schneider was blowing the whistle, we hadn't heard about these kinds of things. We didn't even know they existed. Only time I remember seeing anything like that, and it's funny that it's this movie Total Recall, right?
Hey, you remember me? Benny! Benny's the name!
So, and Elon Musk, he created a company called The Boring Company, and he has aspirations of going to Mars as well. You can't really colonize Mars without, understanding how to bore through that soil. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. This is going to be Phil Schneider kind of trying to explain his experience, and we're just going to kind of start digging this rabbit hole from there.
Phil Schneider has 17 years experience working in the government black projects. He carried a level 3 security clearance. He's a former government geologist and engineer in the black projects, underground bases at areas 51, S4, and Los Alamos. He's going to expand your mind here this morning.
Benny!
Please welcome Mr. Phil Schneider.
I'm Phil Schneider. I spent 17 years in black budget programs, government geologist, as engineer, structural engineer with aerospace applications. Self-taught metallurgist, became kind of famous in my own right. I basically would have a set of notes here, but they're unavailable. All this melee. Up here I have different artifacts explaining some of them are alien metals that have been produced both on this planet and the confines of outer space that are now used in all stealth aircraft. All stealth aircraft, for instance, all black jets, what you're seeing of black helicopters and the like, the skins and the coatings and the residues that are used predominantly in the aircraft themselves, in the airframes and the rotor blades and the fans, and in some cases in submarines, special titanium hulls in the Phoenix class submarines now. All this has come from alien technology. 1947 is what the public has been told. Something crashed in the backyard in New Mexico, a place called Roswell, New Mexico. Unfortunately, that's what the public's been told. The military's known about the alien question for the better part of 70 years, and they first saw their glimpse of what was going on as early as 1909 in the American Southwest. Now, Army cavalry evidently were chasing some bandits, and they entered this cave. They were holed up in a cave, and what they found in there was flying discs and little gray guys and all kinds of weird things, and they didn't know how to explain that, and they wrote them down as best they could, and it's been in secret archives ever since. And it's up in down by the Truth or Consequences area of New Mexico. Well, the alien thing is more than just what I'd call a non-visible threat. We on the surface, first of all information dealing with alien or alien reproduced technology or alien reproduced vehicles or any other kinds of things well hidden from the American public. Our black budget, for instance, garners $1.023 trillion every 2 years.
Yeah, this is something I wanted to talk about right here. What Phil's talking about is all this missing money. You guys remember right before 9/11, you had, I think it was Donald Rumsfeld. He came out, and I'm talking the day before 9/11 happened, before that incident took place. He said they couldn't track, like, I think it was over like $3 trillion, right? And the part of the Pentagon that was hit was actually the offices that were looking into that case. So I just find it strange that happened. So where did all this money go? Is it going to these kind of operations? You know, all this missing money, it's got to go somewhere.
It's over $500 billion a year. Right now, there are 131 active deep underground military bases in the United States.
Exactly.
There's 1,477 of them worldwide. Each one has an average cost of $17 to $19 billion. Each one is built in the site. It used to be, it'd take a year to 2 years to build each one, and now they're capable of building a couple of them a year with sophisticated methods. My colleague Al Bielik has actually been on some of the high-speed railways, the magneto-leviton trains that connect all the deep underground military bases within the United States. He's been on a Mach 2 train.
Jeez.
And floats off of a single rail at a 3/4 of an inch off the rail, and there's what you'd call high tech. We have nothing like this on the surface. The public basically has been totally lied to. We're considered stupid or even moronic in some.
See what Phil's talking about here. I don't think the human beings are moronic or stupid, but what we are is we're very forgetful. We have a short attention span and a short memory. So they just take advantage of that. They can get us excited about new things, and then we just forget about the old things because we really don't care, right? It's like all about what's going on today and what do we have planned for tomorrow. And then today, something scary, right? So with 9/11, that whole situation just disappeared. Nobody talks about it. Nobody brings it up. Not even the fact that we were going to war and our tax money was basically being laundered into these businesses that were building weapons of war, you know? So you can't really hate these presidents for doing that. Imagine if you were in a t-shirt company, right? Or let's say you're running a YouTube channel and all of a sudden I become president. Everything I'm going to be geared toward if I'm trying to funnel tax money, right? Which is the whole purpose of these guys are trying to be part of the government is so they can steal our tax money. I'm going to funnel it towards what's going to benefit me. Who is it? Nancy Pelosi. I mean, these guys are millionaires, and they don't get paid like that, but they're investing in stocks and into the into the stock market, and they're being extremely successful with inside information. And nobody says anything because there's nothing that we can do until we all start calling out the bullshit.
In cases, it's got to stop. If we're going to gain our country back, we must, and I repeat, must regain. We must instill in our public officials, anybody that goes and does public service, they must tell us the truth. If they cannot do this, then they must be impeached or they must be removed from office. If this cannot occur, if the truth cannot totally come out, there are reasons for secrecy, for instance, but if the truth cannot totally come out, what's the use in us having anything called freedom? Okay, now I have pictures here that I'm going to show you during the break in artifacts. I ask you to kind of look at them but not handle them. I have actual
100% diamonds.
crashed retriever metal from Roswell, New Mexico. It's given to me when I was 14 years old. For instance, I've got other things. I've got pieces of this piece of titanium, a special titanium alloy made for everything from the original SR-71 Blackberry. That's old hat now. F-117A is their old hat now. They're making a whole new class of hypersonic above Mach 5 aircraft.
Is it me or does Phil Schneider kind of look like an alien? Like he's got these weird eyes that kind of go back. He looks like a hybrid.
They employ extremely modern charged particle beam weapons. They don't even use lasers anymore. Computer enhanced imaging radar.
Yeah, think about that. Particle charging beam. So it's not a laser, it's just something that can affect the atmosphere, the particles in the air. That's how I always thought they were going to plan like a fake alien invasion. And we'll dive into a little bit of Bill Cooper and his whole alien theory, whether it's real or not. But I always felt like they were going to completely kind of I don't know, I guess it could tie in with the chemtrails where they kind of make the entire atmosphere kind of active, and then they could just control all the particles and even create holograms right in front of us, right? Looks like an alien invasion. We're all panicked and looks like War of the Worlds, but they're just kind of messing with the particles in the air.
Although it's used in helicopters for public surveillance, computer enhanced imaging radar, and in satellite technology, the brand new kid on the block is a kind of infrared technology where a satellite 150,000 miles out in a geosynchronous orbit, or not quite geosynchronous orbit, but these spy satellites can literally look in and see a dime on the floor, say on your kitchen floor. They have a resolution factor of 99.999961. This particular piece of metal, I'm going to drop it on the floor here. It'll kind of ring like a bell. You can't break it. Withstand temperatures in excess of 7,500 degrees Fahrenheit. It has niobium in it. It also has Marinite in it, element 123. Yeah, please do. It's in a non-crystalline form. This is just kind of a dripping out of the main crucible.
Jeez. That's where they melt that metal.
Here's a crystalline example. It's in the scalenohedral crystalline form. We got this from the large grays.
Let's go to Diamonds here. It says, I still believe they are planning a fake alien invasion. I'm not sure what the hell it is, but we know that Reagan, he always said all the world really needs is a mutual enemy. So I always thought that's what they were doing with the scamdemic. was giving us a mutual enemy and trying to bring us together, and it just didn't work. Either that or they were testing to see how, viruses would spread throughout the world. But either way, if we did have a common enemy, it would kind of unite us as a planet. And I believe that's what they're trying to do, right? The new world order. But the truth is you can't control an entire planet until we come together as one. And they're already doing it, right? We have what is it, Skylink? From Elon Musk, is that what it is? Or Starlink, I'm sorry. So he's turned the entire planet into a Wi-Fi hotspot, which is going to be great when I need it, right? When we go off grid in a couple of years, which is what our plan is. But for Christians like myself, it kind of makes us a little paranoid because we're always in fear of the mark of the beast, right? And whether you believe in the Bible or not, I mean, the prophecies are playing out right in front of us. I mean, to a T. So you got to at least keep your ears a little perked at that kind of stuff, right? Because whether you believe it or not, the energy in the world is pushing for that. And maybe that's part of the reason it was created. And also, I don't think that aliens could just come in and take over with their technology, right? Maybe they have issues with the atmosphere. They got to go into the earth. They need assistance. So if they were going to take over the planet, wouldn't they just manipulate us, the humans, to create the throne? And then they just come in and sit down on it. Maybe that's what they've been doing like every 12,000 years, right? We see what they did in Mexico with the Mayans. We see what they did in Egypt with the pyramids. So I don't know. I just feel like we have a short attention span in our memory. We just forget. We're just so forgetful as beings, right? And I think that evil folks, or let's say there are some kind of alien forces out there, they're definitely taking advantage of that.
Technology. This has grown in the confines of outer space, which has not quite a super vacuum, but by the way, this is capable of withstanding temperatures in excess of 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It's great for certain parts of aircraft. This kind of material I work with on a daily basis. Up here we have a transparency of Groom Lake.
100% diamonds. Oh wait, I think I have another photo of Groom Lake.
The infamous Area 51, S4, S2, a CIA base. It was originally a bombing range, a nuclear test site. It was later become the most secret base in the United States. It employs over 18,000 workers who work in shifts of 12 hours at a whack. Most of them work in the cover of darkness, like us. We built 9 underground military bases there.
What's up, D?
Each with an average capacity capable of basically a city underground, roughly 4.25 cubic miles hollowed out underground. They have boring machines, for instance. They don't bore. They literally vitrify and melt the rock, deflagrate the rock. It's a very sophisticated laser melting.
So Phil Schneider's telling us that they have technology beyond this here. Like, this is basically like a train. They grind down. Well, it's more of like shaving. They shave down the rocks right here with this head. And all the rubble and the pieces of rock kind of fall into these holes here. And inside this piece of equipment, they have conveyor belts. Now, what they're doing is they're spitting out everything that they scrape off of the rock in the front. They run it down through the middle of this machine and they spit it out back here. So back here is a conveyor belt. So that's really not that high tech. I mean, it is high tech. We didn't know about this type of technology. It was available 10 years before we ever knew about it, right? On paper, patent wise, anyway. A boring machine is what it is. But what Phil's talking about, he's talking about some type of hyperheated head here. So not only are they grinding out the rock, but they're melting it instead of kind of throwing it out the back like an earthworm, right? That's basically what this is like. It's like a tremor, really, a giant earthworm. That's what they do. They eat the dirt and then they spit it out the back. But Phil's talking about something completely different, something way more advanced. Melting the rock, and not only melting it, but it kind of solidifies the tunnel on the walls are now melted rock. So it's securing the pathway now. Here, that's not what they do. They have to come back in and they put in little sheets, puzzle pieces of cement as they go. Boom. Prefabricated pieces that eventually will wall the tunnels.
And deflagrating system reduces the rock to a powder and then melts the remaining rock as a coating on the inside of the base, so you don't have to use gunite cements and other kinds of things like that. That's all old hat now. Technology is just basically the new technology we get is the old hat of the military. I'm going to be real brief about it. I carried a level 1 security clearance, the Rhyolite 38 factor. There are very few of us. There's nobody except myself, to my knowledge, talking like this. Nobody. I'm breaking the law. I'm breaking world as well as federal law, coming out and even talking about this to a group of people. I love my country more than I love my life. 2 weeks ago, I was shot in the shoulder.
This fool's crazy.
Women out, but I was shot in the shoulder up here. I recently have become friends of a retired FBI agent who took me under the wing. He says, I've never seen a person braver than you. And I said, well, there's more coming. Our patriot movement in these United States is going to pick up the ball, and we are going to kick the parasites out.
Let's go to Joseph B. here. Why is the government hitting it so hard? Are they slowly getting us ready for the idea of other beings? I don't know. I feel like the government is terrified of us. I feel like they're afraid if they don't manipulate us and brainwash us and use all these psyops and psychological warfare on the people that we're going to rise up and eat them or something. I don't know what it is, but they're super terrified that they're going to lose all of their power. So we're so confused. It's hard to tell whether aliens are fallen angels, actually demons. Maybe we can have both of these scenarios be true, having extraterrestrials, but them also being what we refer to as demons or fallen angels, Mount Hermon and all of that stuff, the Book of Enoch and stuff like that. Or it can just be completely a mind fuck. It could be total manipulation. Goes back to the whole Reagan speech. I wonder what it would be like if we all had a common enemy, how we would come together to fight against this common enemy instead of each other. But I think it was Diamonds who said, and Reagan also said it, but don't we already have a common enemy, which would be the devil or the negative energy that tries to force its way into our lives?
First of all, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, a few other founding fathers, Patrick Henry to mention a few, all had visions that these United States is going to live 700 years from where they were standing, and that was somewhere around the late 1700s, early 1800s. So you can count this country. This country isn't going to go to a new world order.
There's that word, that term.
I believe firmly in constitutional law. I'm not very well skilled in it, and that's my embarrassment.
That's true, Farmer.
But I'm going to be real blunt about it. The government that is now instilled in ruling over us are ruling as we're serfs and they're the kings and queens.
Let's go to this question, because CERN is a very good topic. We've covered it here a few times. Diamond, CERN is a particle accelerator. You know, it's basically a magnifying glass. You know, it's where we get the World Wide Web. You know, some people would say, "Oh, you mean WWW or 666?" There's that conspiracy, but they literally had to build the internet in order to process the data that they were getting from the particle accelerator. So they created the internet in order to do that and communicate with everybody, right? It was a huge project, multi-country project. It spans over 2 countries, and they're crashing these particles together. Believe it or not, they call it the God particle, right? The Higgs boson. That's what they're doing at CERN. That's what they're telling the public. But if you take a closer look, they have a statue of Shiva out in the front. There's all this weird, they got all these different languages that are within the building, as if they're expecting something to come through like a portal or a Stargate or something. It's really strange. And to think about the actual technology that they have, man, it's just mind-boggling. We're not going to know about it. You know, we know since World War II, they've been collecting all of the brains of the world. And you have people like Einstein, as smart as he is, emotionally, he was still a weak man. He died ashamed that he even took part in any of the atomic development of the atomic bomb. He helped with the math. He helped with the philosophy of it all. And he made the decision, like most of them, like, if we don't do it, they will. But how do you know that? Because once you do it, they're going to do it better. And that's exactly what happened. And that's why we had the Cold War. And that's why eventually we're going to have World War III and all out nuclear war. And that's where we're headed now.
Now, that's a feudal system. That isn't even a democracy. We are now being ruled by an autocracy and a technocracy. In other words, technical knowledge as rules as king, with a feudal type system. Feudal systems haven't been used in the last 350 years, and they're coming back like gangbusters. If we are complacent.
Let's go to Diamonds here. That makes sense. It's like they are trying to dig a tunnel to open the gates of hell. It really is, right? The bottomless pit, the 7 seals of Revelation, the book of Revelation. Like, it's really playing out right in front of us. It's really crazy to live in this time, right? We hear about things like Atlantis, where the people get so civilized and they make these just massive mistakes with their technology. That's the shit we're doing right now, right? Especially, remember the live stream we did on Raytheon and the Christchurch incident, and how the whistleblower said that they were completely responsible for that. That's pretty scary, you know, that these guys are wielding this kind of technology. I can't help but think about Atlantis. And the story of Atlantis.
If we do not speak out in droves, and I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about a bunch of us getting together and getting on this stump and loving our country more than we love our lives, getting on, some of us are going to get killed. I almost got killed a couple of weeks ago. Hadn't been for an FBI,
Treason
a
is a
retired
bitch.
FBI man who risked his life, his career, everything, put it all on the line, and he didn't know me from Adam. A week prior to that, he listened to one of my tapes I gave up in Post Falls, Idaho, and I'm going to be very blunt about.
Yep, Joseph, 100%.
He said that we need a lot more of you, but unfortunately we're not getting anybody. Well,
so the thing that scares me about like a new world order or a one world government and turning the world into a Wi-Fi hotspot is if they control everything and it's all digitized and it's all backed with AI, and they're tracking everybody with a social score, like a social credit score. And if you're not doing what they want, and you're tapped in, through your bank. Everything you do is just online or it's all digital. They could shut your shit off at any point. And you see how politicians are, and you've seen what happened in Australia, right? During the Kung flu. Man, these people were being violated. I've never seen anything like it. And all I could think of when I was watching this go down was thank God for the Second Amendment, because they would never do that kind of shit here in the United States. The way they were violating people, and then they did it pretty bad too in some of our states here. That was just really scary to see that happen. So they have to pretty much destroy the United States before they do anything. Honestly, this is an experiment that got out of control for them, I think.
I'm not the best speaker in the world, but I'm trying to relay to you that we need to get out and seriously get the message out. These shows are great. This hall should be absolutely packed, standing room only, and we should be getting the message out to as many people as we can with as many shows as is it possibly to reach. The many is the public. We ought to get on talk shows. We've got to get on news shows and TV shows, and we have to really.
That's interesting, Farmer. Jack Parsons and Aleister Crowley. That reminds me of the Babylon working, that old conspiracy theory that they were doing black magic when they were splitting the atom. Something to do with the Antichrist and all that. So if you guys want to really get into some conspiracy stuff that's kind of got a whole lot of different things tied into it, go look up Aleister Crowley, Jack Parsons, the Babylon workings. I mean, it is super creepy. But if you're into all of that, like Illuminati and Freemasonry conspiracies and all that stuff, you'll get a huge dose there.
To get the message out, and I think we're doing it, but it's a little bit slow in the first part. That's just that part of what I want to say. In working with the black projects, I was very loyal. I was picked because I was very strong mentally. There's a bunch of us that were picked because we don't crack under pressure. We don't freak under pressure, so to speak. Everyday events don't bother us.
He's like, you can't shake me.
Now, I was involved in something very controversial, almost totally unbelievable to most of you. Some of you are religious people. I think all religions have a time and a place, and they definitely have a place in America. Now,
let's go to Joseph B. Why can't we use the rings of Saturn as like the world's generator? I don't know, but Saturn is a very, very tripped out place. Now, let me pull up a video here. Probably going to give me an ad here. Let's see. Oh, no. Look at the hexagon on this thing. It's crazy. It looks like a portal. Look at that. This is one of the poles of Saturn. If that's not the craziest thing, I don't know what the hell is. Look at that thing. It looks like a portal, like you can fly through it. And you'll go into another dimension or something. Another interesting thing about that. Let's see. Oh, this is something on TikTok. Let's take a look here. Continue as
star. That star is talking about Saturn. As a matter of fact, when you look at the word Israel, a lot of you noticed already, it's just a breakdown of Isis, which would be the moon, Ra, which would be the sun, and El, which would be Saturn, just another name for Saturn. So Israel is just the worship of all three of these things. When we look at Islam, the crescent moon and the star, that's the moon, and that is Saturn. It's the worship of Saturn. It all goes back. So now when we look in the Bible, when it's talking about people worshiping false idols, they're basically talking about themselves because they were the ones worshiping false idols. But these false idols, when you go through the research and look at some of them, they're talking about either the sun, the moon, or Saturn. So now Acts 7:43, it says, yea, ye took up the
hold on. I'm looking for something specific.
babies. As you can see in the depiction, is to sacrifice babies to this bull god
This ain't
Moloch. Now let's
I found images, but it was better if I had a video, but I'll just show you guys.
Dispatch Health really went above and beyond what I expected for any kind of medical care. From the scheduling process to the care I received.
Mute it. Oh, here we go. Check this out.
فمن الله ثم إذا مسكم الضلوكم الله به وليبينن لكم يوم
It's just like Saturn. The cube and everything.
فإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان على الذين آمنوا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون الكفر صدرا
See, and they go in circles around it.
من الله ولهم عذاب عظيم ولا تقولوا
Isn't that
لما
crazy?
تصف
It's like Saturn worship or something. It's weird.
Another thing I want to reach to you is that during the unbelievable part, I was involved in building another base inside of Dulce, New Mexico, which is Los Alamos Laboratory. It's a biological laboratory. On the southwest part of the Archuleta Mesa, we built an underground facility, a better part of 3 cubic miles hollowed out underground. Then to the southwest of that, we were in the process of the early stages of building. We drilled 4 large tunnel-like holes. Some of them ran 2.5 miles under the surface. Number of the original wells or drilling machines that were used were at the rate of 2 miles a day. It was fairly rapid. The equipment kept coming up broken. So we wanted to go down and we wanted to send somebody down there, a human observer, or human observers in this case, to find out what was going on. Well, to our total surprise, first of all, the government knew all about it. They didn't tell anybody. When I saw Green Beret and Black Beret people encamped.
And a hexagon is really just a cube turned a certain. If you turn a cube in a certain angle, it becomes a hexagon. And if you unfold a cube, it becomes a cross.
Inside of our geologist camp, I knew something was up. The gig was up. First of all, I knew all about the alien agenda. I'll explain that in a few minutes. The large alien grays had been encamped there for as best as believed possible about 400 or 500 years. Had been one of their internal bases. And we drilled holes right on top of it. all the stinking air, all the black sooty air came right out as soon as the first hole was.
All right. Are you guys hearing this story here? So Phil is saying that he was part of a team that was building underground military bases for the government. And while they were building this base, they penetrated into another base that was already there, an alien base. And he said when they broke through, the smell was just awful. The stench that came out of the hole was the worst.
And all this soot came up, and well, that's when it all the hell broke loose. Really, all started. Anyway, after we drilled all 4 holes, it took about 2 days to drill all 4 of them. And when you build a underground base, you drill 4 basic holes, and then you build called stopes or cross-member holes across, and then you use blasting equipment, and special blasting equipment by the analyzation of the rock formation, and you literally blast out or tunnel out or deflagrate or melt rock out to build the large rooms that are required for this underground base.
Yeah, it's weird. Farmer says all religions are based on the serpent that we know of. Also, they talk about a flood, right? A great deluge.
Well, in this process, I was lowered down the basket of one of these holes, and about from me to this elderly woman here in the front was sitting a 7-foot-tall alien gray. The stench was worse than the worst garbage can you can imagine. The person was or the entity was absolutely horrible. I didn't waste any time or reach for my pistol. At that time, as an engineer, I didn't have time to carry all the Folderol of one of these big submachine guns that all the sea spray and the yellow fruit and all the outer perimeter and inner perimeter security people carried. I carried an old Walther PPK pistol with a 9-shot clip. This is in late August of 1979. Now, you got a regular suit of clothes, you got a regular clothes on, plus you're in almost like a spacesuit environment, and you're reaching for a gun. It's not the easiest thing to do, and then to pop a clip in it and start shooting. And I killed 2 of them. Yes, they're mortal, and they do die. However, in the process, one of them did this. All I remember is that he just kind of waved his hand in front of his chest, and the next thing I know, this blue beam hit me and just literally opened me up like a fish, and burnt my fingers right off of me. And it was some form of electrical force, because the kind of like being hit by a lightning bolt burned all my toenails off of me. Completely crispy crittered my left foot, burnt the shoe right off of me.
Crispy crittered his left
all
foot.
I remember is the smoking remains, and I'm still conscious, but in and out of, I didn't remember much. And there was a Green Beret that was right behind me.
Yeah, Return the Diamond says that's why 70% of the Earth is underwater. And also a lot of it is frozen, right? So if Raytheon is using these high heat weapons, high energy weapons in our poles, north and south, what happens if for whatever reason they melt these poles, right? If you melt both of our poles, won't the Earth flood? So it seems like a good way to recycle the planet. And then everything just gets covered by the soot, right? It's just so much water that all the buildings, the skyscrapers, and everything just gets buried over. Then anybody that's left over starts building pyramids and shit, you know? That's really the only thing you can really do. All the technology will be gone. We'll have to start over. Whoever is left on the planet, that knowledge is what will lead to, the religions and the direction that we end up as a civilization. And then eventually they'll destroy themselves and the same thing will happen.
Risked his life. In fact, he died. But he risked his life. He shoved me back in the basket and hit the button and took me up. And I wouldn't be alive talking to you today if it wasn't for him. I'm forever indebted. He lost his life. 66 Secret Service agents, Green Berets, Black Berets, crack troops lost their lives because the government, our
Yep.
United States government, lied, did not tell us anything about the alien threat. There's a war underneath there, and I'm talking dead serious. It's been going on since that time. Since late August of 1979, our military, the Russian military, basically the militaries of the world, have been in constant conflict with the outer space alien. The small.
Farmer says all the old dudes got the same ugly purse. MFers couldn't accessorize, and I think he's talking about the Anunnaki. And can't remember what they were called from the Mayans. Basically the same thing. Let's take a look. So yeah, he's talking about this thing. Right. It kind of looks like a battery pack. Something they need to carry, right? Or maybe it's like a hologram. And really they're just some repulsive reptile. Let's show the Mayan one. Completely different sides of the planet. So they got a pine cone. Some believe it represents the pineal gland, but I don't know what this would be. Also looks like they're wearing a watch or something crazy.
Gray, the large gray, the reptilians, the whole thing. There are 11 distinct races of aliens. 2 are benevolent. One had to leave here in a hurry because their world is under attack, both on the surface as well as underground there.
Yeah, what if these are just like time travelers and this is how they dress in the year 2030 or something? Right? You got time travelers showing up and this is the gear they're wearing. They got the wristwatches, they got some stupid mask on, fake wings. You know, they're coming from the year 3021. They got to carry these little bags with them or else they'll perish. The butterfly effect.
The Pleiadians. We're familiar. Maybe some of you are familiar with that. Would some of you raise your hands who've heard of Billy Meyer and some of the... very good. About half the group.
Oh, I got some stuff on Billy Meyer.
Well,
we're going to watch it.
Billy Meyer is one of these lucky people that they figured, well, he's kind of
most
a simple
likely
guy,
a
we'll
hoax,
show
in
him
my
everything.
opinion.
Well, these are the benevolent aliens, and they've been here helping us. In fact, I have a picture. Let me reach for it here. I have a picture of...
Yeah. We should do a live stream on that. The whole Anunnaki and Planet X and all that stuff. Pretty interesting. I think we're going to probably do something on Aleister Crowley too in the OTO in the future. The near future.
One of the aliens been working for the United States Pentagon for the last 58 years. His name is Val Valiant Thor. He's right here. There's my father in the background. This whole place, the ready room of the USS Eldridge, Al Bielek has probably explained, or maybe even shown you this picture. There's a list of some of the notable people in it. They're all the atomic bomb scientists of the day.
Joseph's asking, is Billy the anti-gravity guy? No. Here, this is the Billy. This is what Billy's all about. Let me see if I have something from him. Shout out to Reality Films. They did a good job on this little.
This Swiss farmer has taken over 1,000 clear daylight UFO photos, some even from on board these extraterrestrial spacecraft. He's filmed the UFOs, recorded their sounds, and presented samples of their metal for scientific examination. Is this why he's been the target of 21 documented assassination attempts? Or is it because of his other life in the Middle East as the Phantom, a hunter of serial killers who rubbed shoulders with world leaders like Gandhi, the King of Jordan,
He said he was a serial killer hunter.
Franco, Tito, and Saddam Hussein, or because he accurately predicted hundreds of dramatic events, from 9/11 to the Iraq wars, from global warming to AIDS, decades before they occurred? Or could it be because he discovered and published an ancient document so heretical that it threatens to overturn the core beliefs of all of the world's major religions? Is this the biggest hoax, or the most important story in all of human history? See for yourself.
So that's Billy Meyer. We'll talk about him a little bit later.
Time variant experimentalists of the day, all the top physicists of that particular day. This was in August of 1943. Now this guy has not changed one iota in 58 years. Started work, he came here, crashed here or whatever, whether he's under duress or not. He started work for our U.S. Navy and military operations in 1937, either 37 or 38 is what I've been told. So it's for 58 years, this man's been employed, probably under duress. If you don't do as we say, we're just going to use you for alien bait or something. I don't know.
Alien bait?
He basically hasn't changed. He lives for 490 years, is what he says his lifespan is. Now, he was supposedly a semi-benevolent, he's a human-looking type person. He has 6 fingers and 6 toes, and he's got one oversized heart, one lung, giant lung. His blood vessels are bigger. He's got copper oxide for blood, similar to an octopus.
That's so crazy. Recently, they said they found in a deep sea octopus, they found like some kind of alien DNA. That's so crazy to me. CJK, welcome in. Says we'll have to watch the replay. Honestly, we're going an hour, and this is probably going to be a really long live stream, like probably 3 hours. Because this video right here was only 28 minutes, and we're already at the 1 hour mark. So
his brain capacity 300 centimeters greater than ours. He has a thinking capacity, IQ. If you were to measure it, be totally off the scale, be about a 1200 IQ. He speaks 100 languages fluently, alien as well as others.
All right, so he says he speaks 100 languages, right? That's what makes me think about CERN. They have all these different cultures and languages, and so basically, if you were going to yank something through CERN, the first thing they're going to see are banners with a welcoming banner in every language, every known language to man. Right? That's what this makes me think of. Like whoever comes through is going to be so smart, they're going to be able to read one of these signs, if not all.
He's a remarkable person. I had a chance to meet him one time. Now, by the way, he doesn't shake hands. He's kind of in a spacesuit because all aliens, regardless benevolent or otherwise, they're carrying germs and diseases and bacterium in and on them that are deadly to us. If I were making policy, I'd quarantine them all because
he's all pissed off.
How do we not know that some of our diseases like AIDS, Ebola, hantavirus, and a few of these other weird designer diseases, as I call them, are not made from the cadavers of some of these aliens as a biological weapon to use against the people of the United States? Well, I'm tired. I'm a tired American speaking out. I'm telling you is kind of almost like a brain overload here. Back in 1946, we set off a number,
Me too,
actually
Hathers.
4 atomic bomb tests at Bikini
Me
Atoll,
too.
a group of islands in the South Pacific. I have an original photograph here with original language on the photograph.
Yeah, Saturn is like a live. We need to do a live stream on Saturn too, because I mean, people basically worship Saturn. It's crazy. I think it's Kronos, right? I could be wrong on that one. The black cube. Yeah, Saturn worship. Here it is. I'm trying to find a decent photo. Oh, here it is. This one's okay. I think I'll just have to zoom in on it, maybe. Oops. Zooming in on the wrong screen. I was zooming in on my StreamYard. What the hell? There we go. Okay, so if you take a cube and turn it to where one of its points is right directly at you, makes a hexagon. So really, it's like Saturn is really just a cube. And it's almost like this is the point of the cube, right? Yeah, Saturn is really crazy. Really strange. So much we don't know about the universe. Here's a really good shot. Let's take a look at this. Man. Now remember, this thing is just spinning like a portal. So trippy.
It shows there is a large alien spaceship off a wingtip of a United States aircraft. It was a drone aircraft, right at the point where the bomb was beginning to show a neutron flash cloud. Here's the bomb going off. Here's the airplane tip here, and here is the alien spacecraft. Now, in 1947, questions later, please. In 1947, after Roswell debacle.
Hathers, are you talking about the Georgia Guidestones? Where they were talking about depopulation and bringing the, I think it was what? Was it 500 million or 5 million?
Our military got before the U.S. Senate. They were hauled before the U.S. Senate and says, what's going on here? Well, we didn't know anything about discs until this happened. It flopped in our backyard. Total lie. They lied to the U.S. Senate. They should have been prosecuted as traitors. Anybody lying to a United States Senator or House of Representative, any Senator or House of Representative, person, President of the United States, Vice President, any cabinet member lying to the American public is a traitor and should be dealt with in an appropriate fashion. This is actual proof, positive, that this occurred in 1946. Now, U.S. military knew all about flying discs, and flying disc technology is early, thoroughly early, as 1933. Of course, remember the Germans did too, the Nazi Germans, Hitler and all their bunch of people. Now, it gets to the big question, if all this has been hidden from us, everybody says, well, where's the proof? I've got some of the proof laying on the table. But a lot of you probably are totally skeptical. They say, well, that could be anything. In my hand here, I have a piece of what's called corbamide. It's the heaviest element in the world. Element 140. This piece of material weighs 15 ounces. It's 3.5 times the weight of uranium. It cannot be made to emit gamma rays. It cannot be isotoped.
That's crazy.
It is totally stable.
Fly it right into the sun.
It is used in all stealth aircraft and all Phoenix-class submarines. When combined with other alien elements, it is impregnable. It cannot be melted with charged particle beam weapon. When properly combined in secretive compounds, it can withstand temperatures in excess of 10 million degrees Fahrenheit. It is grown by aliens who have given a good... The other side of the alien question is, some of these aliens have broken off from their mainstream and said, we're not getting a fair shake, and so this is what happens. And I'm talking about the alien grays. Some of them broken away. They're talk about not being popular. This particular piece of metal is an amazing piece of technology. It's capable of being grown in 15 different crystal systems. Now, I'm a geologist, and I, prior to 15 or 20 years ago, knew of only 6 crystal systems. There's actually 15, if you count all the alien metals. Now, this is only element 140. If you look at the local periodic table in your local library, it says 104. Somewhere down the line, we've been lied to, and we've been cheated. What we have to do is we have to literally ask for the truth. If we cannot ask for the truth, we must demand the truth. We must take it before courts of law and common law systems, and we must demand it. If we cannot do this, our founding fathers told us the only thing left is to overthrow.
Ooh. He got dark there. Sorry, guys. I had to get a little bit of food in me. I'll eat the rest later. Yeah, what do you guys think about like shapeshifters and all that kind of stuff? Now people they say can turn from human to alien. Hathers says, Sleuth, did you get to see all of the UFOs over Phoenix? Yeah, I saw the Phoenix lights. I was camping on a place called Red Mountain. It's on a reservation. I was doing mushrooms. I thought I was tripping out. I was up on a mountain with a bunch of Rastafarians and we're beating on drums and playing acoustic guitars. We had to hike all the way up. It looked like an ancient, like in the middle of this mountain, looks like an ancient, like Native American, almost like they built it into the rock. So we slept in there, and while we were hanging out here over Phoenix, comes the Phoenix lights. It was insane. All right, let's continue on down the rabbit hole.
Complex manner will only begin when Wanda is much further ahead. In terms of their construction, the 120-meter-long tunnel boring machines are identical. Each weigh 2,300 tons. While the cutter head wheel at the front excavates through the earth, to the rear there are 6 trailers on which the entire plant is installed. On the steel construction, there are hydraulic units, pumps, ventilation systems, laser measuring technology, and the storage tanks for the soil conditioning agents. Behind the drill head of the tunneling machine, soil is collected and transported on long conveyor belts. Initially out of the tunnel and...
See, this is how we do things without technology, right? It's very innovative and it's brilliant. You know, we're able to see things in nature and try to replicate it the best we can. But I mean, parrots do the same thing, right? So the technology that Phil is talking about is something where we wouldn't need any of this equipment. You know, keeping it super simple, using technology, probably math, some elements, engineering, and things that we haven't even dreamt up yet.
Then over the entire site. The machines operate in so-called EPB mode, or Earth Pressure Balance mode. Here, the workers can add various liquids to the soil at the working phase.
See here, they're just grinding through, right? It's just a giant drill bit. But the technology that Phil is trying to explain, and a lot of these other whistleblowers are talking about, is this being superheated and melting the rock. And instead of having to come in later and put cement around the, you know, around the walls, it's just melting it like glass. And the metals and everything, it's just creating its own wall. So it's done. You don't need anything.
To make it easier to dissolve.
Here we can see our
Complex manner will only begin.
So we got a lot of little random things here and there. Just to give you guys an idea of the boring equipment they have.
Underneath Seattle this morning, something is blocking this massive piece of equipment from carving out a new future for commuters.
I also think in Seattle, they found, while digging this very tunnel, I think they found a pirate ship. I can't find anything about it online. I didn't look too long, but if my memory is not failing me, I'm pretty sure while they were digging this, and it may have even been what they ran into here, was a pirate ship or something like that.
As John Blackstone reports, that means slamming the brakes on the Emerald City's version of the Big Dig.
Deep beneath Seattle, something has brought the world's biggest tunnel boring machine to an abrupt halt. It's just 1,000 feet into a tunnel that's planned to be almost 10,000 feet long.
We're being really cautious, want to make sure that we don't damage this $80 million machine.
The $80 million machine, nicknamed Big Bertha, stands 5
Big
stories
Bertha.
tall. It arrived in Seattle earlier this year with much fanfare and
Tell them Large Marge sent you.
high hopes.
Absolutely, it's the way to go. Every city should have a big tunnel underneath it.
Gregory Hauser is deputy project manager for the tunnel, which is planned to stretch 1.7 miles under downtown Seattle,
Crazy.
carrying a double-deck highway. It will replace the Alaskan Way Viaduct, a raised concrete
Yeah, that shit is
freeway
ugly.
built across Seattle's waterfront in the 1950s.
This Alaska Way Viaduct, which is
Some New York
old and
looking
ugly
shit.
and dirty, and it's going to fall down. If the earth moves and it shakes anymore, it's going to fall.
Big Bertha doesn't just drill, it installs concrete wall panels as it goes, leaving a finished tunnel behind.
Well, this is a work of art. This is absolutely a work of art, and it's going to be beautiful when it's finished.
The $3 billion tunnel is scheduled to carry traffic by the end of 2015, but engineers always knew they could run into obstacles.
We've got a general idea of how many
Giant
boulders there
boulder.
might be and what size they might be, but there's no guarantee that there couldn't be a 20-footer sitting in
Or
the
a
way.
pirate
The
ship.
project director says it could take 2 weeks to figure out what is in the way and how to remove it. Wells are being drilled to lower the pressure of groundwater in front of the machine, and divers may be sent in to have a look. Big Bertha is named after Bertha Knight Landis, elected as Seattle's first female mayor in the 1920s. She broke through a major barrier. Now it's up to Big Bertha, the
Shout out to
drill,
Big Bertha.
to do the same.
I don't know how she's feel about you guys drilling. Okay, so you guys didn't answer me about the shapeshifter. Have you guys ever seen anybody shapeshift? Oh, hello, Earthlings. Whoa, what happened? Did you guys see that? It's a little glitch. Crazy. Hello, Earthlings. We interrupt this broadcast. Whoa. Did you guys see that? It got all fuzzy on the screen. I swear I'm not a shapeshifter. Some pretty good special effects, huh? Joseph says, you've seen some of those video clips where you see famous people's eyes that look like reptilian eyes. Yeah, but there's a really good one that I've watched. Let me see. Wow, I don't see it anymore. That's crazy. Let's try something different. Oh, here it is.
happened on that.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me slide it over here. So do you guys remember this? So somebody slowed it down. When I first watched it, it just looks like a bug flies in his mouth. And then they had somebody came through and slowed it down, and it looks like this long tongue that comes out.
Thursday here at Augusta High School that led to Chris Wood's death.
Do you see that?
Led to Chris Wood's death. The fuck is that?
What the fuck is that?
Augusta High School that led to Chris Wood's death.
See that?
Happened on that Thursday here at Augusta High School that led to Chris Wood's death. The fuck is that?
So yeah, that's crazy. And it's funny when you search it now, you can't search under shapeshifter or whatever, but back before they changed YouTube's algorithms, you used to be able to find all kinds of crazy shit. They couldn't have that. They couldn't have it. All righty, guys, we are back. Well, you see that, guys? Trying to shadow ban me. Putting on my tinfoil hat. This is a clone. That's a good one. Clone, probably. Or an alien, maybe. We're taking over this broadcast. Nah. What the hell? That's funny, Farmer. I'm not a clone. Don't listen to the farmer guy. Don't listen to the farmer. I am not a clone. This has always been my skin suit. All right. Hopefully they don't get on us for this. But Jesse Ventura hit us with the copyright.
Rachel, Nevada. Shameful. March 17th, 2018. Just outside the perimeter of Area 51, Giorgio Tsoukalos meets with researcher Wolf McCarran and mining expert Christian Greneau. They are here
Giorgio
to
hair
rumors
gel.
of an alleged tunnel network that lies beneath Area 51.
This is amazing, isn't it?
Wolf and Christian believe this location, the Tempute Mine, is one of several old Nevada mines that have been used to expand operations at Area 51, deep underground.
I'm a miner about 100 miles north
He's
of
a
Area
miner.
51 here, and I've been mining there since 1992. I also own a mine in Goldfield, so I'm just an
I like
avid
Rumble.
miner. You know, I search these out.
So what can you tell us about Area 51?
Well, Area 51, what you see,
It's not as cool as
like on
Area
Google imagery,
52.
that was the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Since then, they've gone down. Everything they do is underground.
And what evidence have you come across as a miner that would corroborate your idea?
We'll pause it every once in a while. Haters can say what you want. First Amendment rights are recognized on Rumble.
People are questioning, well, if they're going down,
I like Rumble.
where is all the dirt going? Well, it's going to these nearby mines. And they're putting it in huge mountains and they're heap leaching it. By the time they're done heap leaching a huge mountain, it goes down to nothing.
Now, to the uninitiated, what does heap leaching mean?
Heap leaching. Remember that term.
Up into a large mountain, hundreds of feet high. And they run hoses all the way through it, like every 2 feet. And they leach in mercury and cyanide.